audio is working. I just want to welcome everybody today, especially on short notice. I'm pretty amazed at the number of people that are on, given how little of time that we were able to let you know that we were going to do this. It was sort of a last-minute decision for us because we were able to ship our PPVT-5 and EVT paper kits early from the warehouse. So with that early release, we wanted to jump in and give an opportunity for us to interact between us at Pearson Clinical and all of you out in your respective settings. So let's jump in. I have about 10 to 15 minutes of information that I think will answer many questions, but then I very much want to hear from you through the chat box, etc., as we go forward. So without any further ado, I just have one polling question because I'm just really curious who is able to jump in with us today so that I can adjust my comments accordingly. Right now it's overwhelmingly SLPs, which is great, but I'll give you a couple more seconds to chime in before we jump in. I'll share the results in just a couple of seconds. Looks like we've got just about everybody. So mostly SLPs today, colleagues from school psychology, clinical and neuropsych, and those who wish to remain nameless here on professional backgrounds who I've missed guessing about. So I apologize, but welcome for those of you that are on. And let's go ahead and get started. So we are talking today about PPVT-5 and EVT-3, of course, these new versions of tests that are now in print and shipping for those of you that have ordered already. And so that launch, this is some student artwork that I'm bringing in here today who are very excited about us launching. And so there's a rocket ship as we go forward, and I hope everybody's as excited as we are to see these new versions hit the streets. So let me talk to you a little bit about the release update, just very briefly in terms of dates. As I mentioned, the print kits for PPVT and EVT started shipping out of our warehouse yesterday, which we're really excited about. They were originally scheduled for Friday, this Friday the 7th, and now we were able to pull that in. Our inventory team is amazing, and we're starting to ship as of yesterday. So that's great. This Saturday is our Q Global push, our quarterly release in December, which is when all of the digital stimulus books for the two tests and the manuals, the digital manuals, all the scoring and reporting, all of that gets pushed to Q Global over the weekend on Saturday, and so that will be live and ready to go probably first thing Monday. And then certainly the Q Interactive, which a lot of people are asking about as well, that release date for that Q Interactive scheduled release is the 11th, so that's early next week. So our digital pieces are just about ready, but our print kits are shipping, and so we're really excited about that. And so stay tuned. We're right in the middle of things here, and everything's moment to moment. So it's pretty exciting. Some of your main questions may revolve around what's changed between the PPVT-4 and the PPVT-5, the EVT-2 and the EVT-3, of course. So I want to make sure that I cover that as completely as I can so you have all that information. And then again, certainly jump into the chat and we'll do some back and forth dynamic Q&A as we can along the short time we have today. I'm going to take you out to the website here and share my screen because I want to show you where you have access to all of those things right now. So what I'm hoping is that you can see our website with the PPVT-5 product page there. If you can, I'm going to have you go ahead and raise your hand so I know that that share screen function is working. Great, thanks so much. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of things out on the website here that I want to show you specifically about what's changed. All our web pages look like this for our products, so you need to scroll down a little bit to this tab structure right here that I'm circling with my mouse. And under the Resources tab, lo and behold, there's a document called What's Changed. So I'm going to click on that, and you'll have this. This is ready for you as we speak. I'm going to increase the size on this a little bit so it gets a little bigger for you watching from wherever you are. What's changed between versions? So everything on the left column is the previous versions, the PPVT-4 and EVT-2, and everything on the right is the new versions, the PPVT-5 and EVT-3. So under the topic of administration, the biggest thing that's changed is that we've removed the 12-item set organization of PPVT-4 and moved it to a continuous item set and aligned it very much with the EVT administration rules. In fact, the basal and ceiling rule administration procedure for both new versions is identical. So the basal is 3 consecutive items, the ceiling is 6 consecutive incorrect responses. Those are identical now between the 2 new versions. It's a pretty major shift for PPVT-4, we understand. We think after some testing, after some talking to some of you out in the field, that it's more advantageous for us to be similar across those 2 tests. And so the feedback we've had so far is very positive. We hope that you agree that continuous item set for PPVT plus the alignment of administration procedures for both PPVT and EVT is a plus. It's one of the biggest changes that you'll feel tangibly on the new versions. Of course, the norms are new. The norms on the old versions are 12 years old now. And of course, norms don't go out of date in a day. But now we have published a new norm base for these new versions of the tests that were collected last year and this year. So we definitely see that change, and that's a big, of course, key change in any new test development and process. So just a footnote on that for something you're all very familiar with. Probably the second biggest change that you'll feel is in what we call qualitative analyses. So on the left side, of course, you'll see that we had various different qualitative analyses in the previous versions of the test. And of course, now these are previous versions and new versions. So I'll update that language on this piece going forward. But we had vocabulary by part of speech in PPVT and EVT, or PPVT-4. Nouns, verbs, attributes is the way that we divided that up in the previous versions. EVT had more in its previous version. It had a home versus school vocabulary analysis. It had a 3-tier model of vocabulary. Those 3 tiers were adapted from Isabel Beck and colleagues in her work that many of you may be familiar with, bringing words to life. So that's been around for EVT since 2006 when we released the previous version here. And we had some analysis between the crossover vocabulary between PPVT and EVT, which you could get in that receptive expressive comparison report. I'll show you a copy of the new version here in a second. But those analyses are what existed up until now. And now you can see in the new versions we've done a full update of all of those analyses in EVT-2. We've added them formally to PPVT-5, and we've added a new analysis of those words that are aligned with STEM vocabulary. So the science, technology, engineering, and math work that's so prevalent around the country. As we think about that, we've added that analysis for you to be able to take a look and really for these to make hypotheses about a student or an adult's vocabulary store. So as you think about these analyses, of course, the item set is a single item set. There's all the caveats that apply to interpretation of this kind of a data set, but it allows you as a professional, as you're thinking about the score, to make hypotheses of why that score came to be, or what I should do about this next, or what does it mean that the student answered more items this way versus this way, or got more of these STEM words wrong than not. So it gives you an opportunity to think a little bit more deeply about what that score really means and how to interpret it. So take a look at that. Those analyses we're pretty excited about. And again, I'll show you an example of the new receptive expressive comparison report in a minute. Digital delivery also has some significant changes. Most notably, the EVT is now on Q Interactive, which I know many of you have been asking about who use PPVT on Q Interactive today. You can see the differences in digital components really of the previous versions and the new versions here as you side by side it. Certainly the message here is that we've aligned all the digital depths in administration scoring and reporting that we've had before, and now we wanted to layer that in and make sure that that was consistent across the 2 tests. I will also mention that we do have group reporting. Now again, we had it in the old assist, for those of you that have been around long enough to remember our assists. So we had group reporting in the PPVT-3 and EVT assist, which is our scoring software that was on CD-ROM back in the AGS publishing days. And so now we have group reporting back for those administrations that maybe in the PPVT more likely world are using mass administration and want to report on a classroom of students or a larger research group of students, et cetera, or adults. So that group reporting feature is now available again. We've done just a minor set of changes around a couple of the norms age bands between the 2 versions. in those early elementary years. So certainly we see theoretically explosive vocabulary growth up and through that preschool age range. Once you get into kindergarten in school, certainly there's daily vocabulary learning going on, but that trajectory isn't quite as steep as those explosive years in preschool. So we just adjusted in a minor way some of those intervals in those norm age ranges. And then finally, we did redo all the artwork. Instead of making those huge files of scanned artwork and illustrations that were hand-drawn, we digitally created all the new artwork. It's beautiful. It's crisp. You should look at some of those musical instruments and other objects and animals that are going on. They're very clean and very crisp and very modern in that digitally created illustration world. So I know that they'll be engaging for your examinees. So this is the What's Changed document. Let me go back now into the PowerPoint and show you a few things about what else is on the website. Sorry, I meant to do that here. I'm going to go back to my desktop. And then I can just share a couple other things on the website. So you should be seeing, sorry, one other piece. Oh, I closed it. Hold on. I want to go back to our web page. I'm just going to type Pearson Clinical in here, and you can find this as well. PPVT-5. Want to point out a couple of other new things or additional things that you might find on our web pages. If you happen to be in a telepractice context or exploring that, we do have a page here in this overview section that's highlighted with an icon that says telepractice tips on using this test in your telepractice. I just mentioned that it's very similar to PPVT-4 language as well, but I've just updated it for the new versions. In scoring and reporting, I do want to show you a receptive expressive comparison report. So under the tab scoring and reporting, let me pop that open so I can show you what I alluded to earlier. This is an example or a sample version of what you'll find in our new comparison reports. Obviously the cover page has the demographic information. You'll see the score comparisons like you did the last time when you compared a PPVT-5 administration with an EVT-3 administration. You'll get the standard score differences, you'll get that critical value, whether or not that significance or that difference was statistically significant, and then the percent of the normative population with that difference. So again, this example, of course, is a non-significant difference in standard score, but some of our examinees we know have a pretty marked difference in their standard score between expressive and receptive vocabulary, and this allows you to quantify that. And then the report talks about those qualitative analyses that we're going to take a look at for a particular student. And so then you'll have these different sections. So you'll have the title of the section here, home versus school. You'll have a little explanation of what this comparison may mean. And then you'll have this quantitative, numeric, percent correct kind of visual analysis of home-based vocabulary, words that we typically learn at home, versus school-based vocabulary, and then a comparison visually and otherwise. Then if you go through the report, you'll also see vocabulary as part of speech. All the analyses will be in here, the 3-tier model from Beck and her colleagues' work. This STEM vocabulary analysis between words identified on each set of items that are STEM related, and then this crossover. So this is a little bit new. We did this a little differently this time, where we could say, here was the word that in that examinee's administration crossed over. So they took it both receptively and expressively. And when they did, so the word would be in this first box here in this first column, and then if the plus, this is the item number on PPVT, whichever form they took, and whether they got it right or not. So the plus means they got it right, the minus means they did not, for example. So then you'll have at the bottom here, this will be your analysis of the actual words they took that crossed over between PPVT and EVT, and then you can do a percent, an item count of those shared items that were scored the same and those shared items that scored differently, that the student or the examinee scored differently between receptive and expressive performance. So I'm hoping that everybody agrees, and we worked pretty hard on this and had some feedback from those of you in the field, that this is what you want to see. You want to see something along the lines of what does it mean, their receptive versus expressive vocabulary, and what information can we share about that. So just an example about that comparison report. Again, on the Resources tab, there's a few other things here that certainly you may be interested in. There's a case study that we have showing the use of PPVT, EVT, as well as our companion intervention, The Bridge of Vocabulary 2 by Judy Montgomery, in a case study for a particular student. And then the next thing I want to show you is the by the numbers document. And this is really where we're talking about under the hood. Like, what do the data say? What are the data all about for this particular set of new versions? So this is also on our website. You can talk about the item content and how the numbers stack up between common items, what's new, what's shared, those kinds of questions that you might want answered. Here's information about the norms and how we put together the data set for these two versions, and then reliability and validity data, as you might expect. So this information, again, is on the website. I do want to point out the use of PPVT and EVT as screeners. So here, if you look for this table, let me see if I can highlight it so that you can see it here. This table really shows for these three populations, a language population, language delay, SLI, specific language impairment, and SLD in reading and writing, that the PPVT and EVT have very strong clinical specificity. And these numbers are for at -1 standard deviation as screeners. So feel free to use these as screeners. You have data to support you in doing that for these populations of students to help you screen very quickly and easily. So again, in the manual we have the depth, but this is sort of an at-a-glance view of how you might think about using these new versions in your practice. And then finally, the growth scale values, which you might be familiar with as well. We have them on a number of our other tests, and the statistically significant number of GSV points of change that you can then measure growth over time more easily than trying to interpret those standard score changes between norm groups, which is tough to do sometimes. So we really recommend using the GSV for medium and long-term growth progress monitoring. And certainly it's not meant for really tight, narrow, fine-tuning progress monitoring in terms of short amounts of time, but this is for your 6-month annual assessments kind of progress monitoring. Okay, so I'm going really quickly. I want to pause and go back to my PowerPoint for a second because I want to see where I am and make sure to answer questions from all of you. Let's see, here's a question here. Are the same metrics able to be calculated by hand scoring? That's a great question. So in the back of the new manuals, there are places and templates, if you will, to do all of that work by hand scoring. So the answer is yes, but it will be time consuming. So hang on, because I have a little news flash here at the end of the time, but I think you're going to want to use Q Global Scoring to maximize your time for all of those different analyses. So there's another question here. When packaging sets, do you pair a PPVT-5 and an EVT-3B? Can the cross-analysis be between Forms A of both tests? So the answer is yes. You can decide. There's crossover between Form A's, a Form A and Form B, and if you look at the by the numbers document, you'll see how much crossover there is. So if you're trying to decide between buying both Form A's or buying an A and a B of the different tests, you can look at how much crossover there is and make a decision. Two of the ways that you can cross over have like twice as many crossover items than the other way that you look at it. So you can decide how you want to handle that. And of course, we sell the A's together, we sell the B's together, we sell all 4 of them together, and so you can make a decision, and we sell all 4 of them individually. So whatever works best for you, depending on how you want to use it clinically, you have the option to do that. Great question. So here's another piece of artwork. This one is from a 7-year-old, so his launch rocket looks a little bit different, but you can see in his windows in the rocket PPVT-5, EVT-3, and the status launched, which is pretty fun. So let's see, where are we? While you're asking other questions, I want to go ahead. We talked about the by the numbers document. I do want to call out a new white paper that just got finished. We have an appendix in the back of the manual about a cochlear implant study that we did with a partner, and we do have another white paper that just got finished that we're preparing right now for release. So if you know anyone or you yourself are working with a hearing impaired population that are implanted as well, it's really a great, robust white paper and appendix with lots of considerations for that special population. We're really excited about sharing it, and the data really support this use of these two new versions with that population. And so read the details when we get ready to send it out here, and we'll post it on our website here in the same place over the next few days, and you'll be able to take a look at how that may help you in a different part of your work for that special population. This is my final piece of kid art for our time today. This is a 4-year-old who's got a big purple rocket with a lot of smoke and fire underneath it. So he's pretty excited about the launch as well. And so I just wanted to have a little fun in the sharing here. I see a follow-up question coming through. Which sets should we purchase to obtain the greatest crossover? So where's the information you mentioned regarding comparisons of crossover analysis? Okay, so let me go back. We want to dig into this a little more deeply. Let me share my screen again, and I can go over to the by the numbers document. So here, if you look at this right in the item content section at the top of this screen, so you'll see the 2 PPVT forms here and the EVT-3s on the top. You'll notice here that if you're using both Form A's, there are only 16 items of crossover. If you're using both Form B's, there are 30 items of crossover. By contrast, if you're using PPVT Form B and EVT Form A, you'll get 60 items of crossover across the whole item scale, right? And then if you're using PPVT Form A and EVT Form B, you'll get 59 items of crossover. So to your question, if you're looking for the most crossover, hang on, let me just move these chat windows away from the document so I can see them. You're going to want PPVT Form B and EVT-3 Form A, or very close to 59 items instead of 60, the PPVT-5 Form A and EVT Form B. Let me just look at your question again. I think that answers it. So that is the number of items that cross over, and they're scattered throughout the item set. So of course, every examinee takes about 60 items, give or take, in a particular administration of either version. So it won't be 60 items of crossover for any one examinee. It'll be something far less than that. So that'll give you the most opportunity for crossover if you look at that common items grid in that way. I hope I was clearer that time. Okay, so then let me give you, I'm watching for more questions to come in. Feel free to shoot them in now. But otherwise, I am very excited to be able to be someone to announce to you a big news flash, because we are going to be instituting an end of the year special. So we won't be like Kohl's does, where they ping you 3 times a day with some coupon for something, which is great. So this is going to be something we're going to release here in the next couple of days, but you guys get to hear it first. And so what this will be is from now till the end of the year, if you haven't upgraded yet, we're going to give you 1 free year of Q Global scoring when you buy the new version. And it's not just for PPVT-5 and EVT-3. We're going to expand that to our new products this year. The list is here on the screen. And we're offering free shipping as well for those. So this is pretty exciting. I want you to write down this code. And we're working on getting this message out to all our customers, because you guys are here first. You get to hear it first. So this is going to be on phone orders only. So we want you to write down the code and give us a call before the end of the year. And we would love to give you this coupon, right? We're in the season of coupons and discounts and all those wonderful things. So here we are for that. And now until the end of the calendar year, we really want to encourage you, if you need a little more encouragement, to check out our new versions of our tests with both free Q Global scoring and free shipping on our new products. So I hope that's very exciting to you. It's very exciting for us to be able to share that, and we're so excited about the tests that we want you guys to be excited too. So think about that. Write down the code. Tell your friends. A larger communication will be coming out to our customer base, like I said, in a couple days. And of course, remember, like so many other publishers and many of us around the world, prices are going up January 1. So don't forget about that, plus this end of the year special that we're able to offer to all of you. So that's the news flash of the day. So let me pause and go to some Q&A. And oh, I already said, what? Can I repeat the code? Yes, the code is QGDEC, Q Global December 18. So grab a pen, write it down, QGDEC 18, right here at the top of the slide. Okay, so let me go to Q&A here and look at my chat box and see where we are. We have 4 minutes yet. Okay, yes, so this is a crossover follow-up again. So we'll need to purchase A's and B's for the greatest crossover. The answer is yes. I repeated the code, yes. What if I already ordered the new tests? Then you need to call your sales rep. So if you don't know your sales rep, I will give you my email. You can call into our customer service office support line and ask for the sales rep, and then you'll get to that person. Other questions? We have 3 minutes. What can I answer for you about the new versions, timing, details? I'm happy to do it. What happens at the end of the first year for the price of QG scoring? Oh, there's a renewal time. I don't believe we automatically invoice you. No, you have to renew on your own. You'll get a renewal email from us and a communication that says, hey, your renewal, your subscription year is about up and it's time to renew, but we don't automatically charge you for that, no. Can you make the slides? Here's what I'll do on the code. Let me do this for everybody. I'm going to broadcast the code in the chat. Get ready. Here it comes. DEC 18. Now you have it in the chat. Here's a great question. Are the previous versions obsolete as soon as the new versions come out? That's a great question. It goes back to my comment earlier about the norms not being suddenly out of date after a day, right? So just because the new version started to release yesterday doesn't mean that the PPVT-4 and EVT-2 norms suddenly went out the window. So certainly best practice is to upgrade as soon as possible. You know, lots of people can do it within the first year. Some people take a couple years to upgrade. We understand, we get it. The basic thing we can say is we understand you have budget cycles like we do, and so we encourage you to do best practice, which is to use the most current version of the test. Some people, what they do when they have budget constraints and timing constraints is they buy one of everything first, so they have a whole kit in-house that they can study if you can't go all in right away. And sometimes people do that so they can evaluate how much then they can do when their next budget window comes up. But you don't have to worry that suddenly the current norms are now wrong. That's not the way that psychometrics works. So they're just now an older set of norms, and we have a newer one to replace it. Okay. So, oh, just a comment because there's somebody from our team that's online. Great, Jarrett, thanks. So Q Global users, and this is to the subscription question, you'll receive a 90-day reminder that your subscription is ending and a 30-day reminder when your subscriptions will expire. So you get a couple of reminders to re-up, and of course after the free year, then that one will be your opportunity to do a 1, 3, or 5-year subscription, and of course the pricing is sweeter percentage-wise year over year if you do the 5-year versus the 3-year, but you can do 1 year at a time too. So it's totally up to you. Thanks, Jarrett. Okay, we have a minute, and I want to respect your time, the 30 minutes that we had together. Any final questions? If not, I just want to thank you for being so prompt in your responses and being on with us today. And then certainly let us know if there's anything else you need, but we're here. We're working hard till the end of the year, and we're available for questions anytime. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.